with two special words. Little did I know at the time that those two words would drive my scholarly career, would you believe it, for the next half century. Those two words. And here's what I had said in the phrase, I had defined the outcome of therapy as the return to organic order. But why those two special words, organic order? And yet, why not? For those two words go to the heart of humanistic philosophy. They are meant to specify, one, a whole person approach, organic order, a whole person approach. And they are meant to deal with the very peak of our human potentialities. What I meant by organic order was a kind of total integration of the person. A study of those two words could lead us to an understanding of what we can aspire to be as humans. And so I set to work to study the question of what it means to be a fully functioning person. I realized from the first that in order to do empirical inquiry, I had to define the words organic order with some specificity. And where I wound up in that regard, and it took me a very long time to realize that I was talking about a human system model, but I finally got to see that. And what I want to do is show you with this transparency how I finally got to the model. The words may not be fully clear to you, but you notice, first of all, and let me introduce this by two words that Andras Angel used to describe a system. He used the two words unitas multiplex, and by that he meant just those, that a system can be as intricate as it needs to be, but ultimately it is a unity. And that's what I'm trying to depict. And what I did was to go from molecular to molar, as you can see, and include all the major subsystems, biochemical, physiological, perceptual, precognitive, cognitive, and so on. I will not be able to explain this further because I really can't get into the content with the things that, with the time limit. This was formed, we did at least 20, my students and I did at least 25 empirical studies to work out what the essence of this system was like. And here is what we found. Now, what I want to do is to really synthesize in a very, very short way the real meaning of our 25 or more studies. Over and over again, the studies reveal two processes that lie at the core of human functioning. And you'll hear these words frequently from me. These two processes are connection and communication. Those are the processes that define a human system. When those two processes function fully and in seamless harmony, when communication is freely flowing and unhampered, and when seamless connection is maintained, then persons are at their best. They're in closest touch with themselves and others. Such processes furnish psychological nutrition. Conversely, when there is disruption in connection and interference in communication, personal dysfunction is the inexorable consequence. These two processes define our function at every level of existence. What I want to do for the next few minutes is to illustrate the centrality of these two processes, connection and communication. And I want to do it in a very particular way. I've decided that one way that I can do it best is to go to the microcosmic level of cell functioning. The study of human cells is a study in the miracle of miniaturization. These submicroscopic entities, the metaphor and pattern for all of life. There are trillions of tiny cells in our bodies, yet there is not one single cell that functions independently. An independent cell is a dead cell. The cells are interdependent in multiple ways, and this is what is so important. Every cell is structurally designed to express the two vital processes of connection and communication. I once ran across a paper that was fascinating to me. It was called How Cells Talk. I found the title somehow captivating and a reminder to us of the multi-layered importance of communication in our lives. The article described the many biochemical and electrochemical modes by which cells signal to each other and function together. Just one example. There are molecules called cell adhesion molecules. They travel down the bloodstream and attach themselves to vulnerable cell surfaces. They are then available as docks for immune system cells to attach and heal the vulnerable cells that are damaged by the intrusion of foreign bodies. Now, that is to me a miracle of cooperative, connected functioning. The immune system's function is to make us whole again and to guard the integrity of our physical cells. When these two processes of connection and communication work as they should, health is restored. Now, when communication is disrupted in cells, when there is some blockage or disruption in the signaling processes, dire consequences may follow. Most cancers, for example, occur as a consequence, and here I'm quoting, of the breakdown in the signaling pathways that control normal cell growth and differentiation. And here, ultimately, is the point. What I have said about harmonious connection, communication in cells applies universally across all of life, to individuals, to interpersonal relationships, to family relationships, and I'm now talking about connection and communication as the binding forces, and to effective functioning in organizations. Anybody who has seen disruption in communication in organization knows the consequences. At all these levels, so long as connection and communication remain fluid and unhampered, human bonds continue to exist. And by the way, I mustn't leave out processes being relevant to the effectiveness of international relationships. Because when these processes are disrupted, dysfunction and discord follow, and worst of all, the onset of war is invariably preceded by a breakdown in these two vital processes. But I must return ever so briefly to the place I began my quest for organic order, to the process and outcome of psychotherapy. Right now, let me tell you, subvocally, I'm feeling the need to speed up because I have 20 minutes total. But anyhow, I'll go on. The human system model as it relates to psychotherapy, turns out to be a pan-theoretical model. It helps to explain the oft-repeated finding that different approaches to therapy lead to comparable outcomes. If we look at the model and observe the interconnectedness of all the subsystems, we'll note also that no matter where the therapist chooses to enter the client's personal system, the system's very connectedness assures the spread of effect to whatever dysfunctional processes are interfering. And how do therapists facilitate this process? Not long ago, I realized that the two healing processes that I've been embracing here are precisely the two processes that define my function as a therapist. and here's how. I must at the outset develop a connection with the client, for in the absence of client-therapist connection, no therapeutic work is possible. When there is no connection, there is no therapy. I establish that connection by entering into the client's experiential world and dwelling in that world as consistently and as deeply as I can. We call that process empathy. And when we stay connected through our modes of communication, going as deeply as clients choose into the obscure and dangerous places that have been troubling for them and that keep them immobilized. I came to realize that we as psychotherapists facilitate our clients' growth by utilizing the very same two processes that we hope to facilitate in our clients. We behave in ways that we hope our clients will learn to become. I find that personal discovery to be as close to poetry as any prose is likely to be. Thank you.
It says that the Division of 32 Humanistic Psychology American Psychological Association takes pleasure in presenting the Carl Rogers Award to Jules Seeman, PhD, for his outstanding contribution to the profession and practice of humanistic psychology 2000.